This area started seeing flooding way earlier in the day, and I want you to just take a look. I'm standing in the middle of the road, and you can see just how high the water is on my rain boots.
I am in a TBM adventure, way up in the air. Feel like a bird. I don't know how birds do this without sunglasses.
We're continuing to follow the breaking news of multiple suspicious packages being sent to multiple areas. The Clinton home in New York, Obama's home in Washington. The strong winds and at times pretty heavy downpours, and if not a downpour, sometimes just a drizzle. But with this wind that's going really sideways, it's hard to hold on to my hat right now. And that's why they're asking only for professional searchers looking around for Casey Hathaway. So this debris obviously happened during Florence, but you can see right here how the sand has come up and surrounded this debris. So you can just sort of get an idea of how much sand has been coming up this way and how much water was probably here during high tide earlier today. If you take a look right here behind me, these are the woods that crews were searching earlier in the day. Saw some of those crews returning. It did not appear that they were very successful, and as you can see, they've had this area taped off. Lauren Graham's funeral will happen right here at the library a week from tomorrow. He was brought to a funeral home in Asheville yesterday, but he is being brought here to Charlotte on Saturday. Wilson became close to the Perry family when the Perrys moved here to Camp Lejeune in June 2017. Within weeks, Perry's daughter told her parents that Wilson sexually abused her. Welcome back. We still have Brian Sanders with us. He is a magician, and Lauren and I have gotten roped into helping him. We have no idea what's about to happen.
Roped into
this. So, Brian, I'm really just going to let you have the floor. What do we do? You've actually already been to several red carpet events where you've met some notable people. And let's talk a little bit about some of the favorites for you. Now your family is just, they're seasoned professionals now. And everybody has a part to play. You doing the guitar, your brother over there playing the guitar. I mean, when did your family realize, like, hey, we got this going on here? Right now, Earl Kimmery is in jail without bond now that he's charged with first-degree murder. And I'm told the key piece of information that led to these new charges is that toxicology report showing how Mariah Woods was killed.
He's been charged with first-degree murder.
New answers lead to more questions now that toxicology results show 3-year-old Mariah Woods died from chloroform toxicity.
We suspect that this chemical was used to disable the child, and according to the autopsy report, it led to her death.
At this point, Sheriff Miller won't reveal how investigators believe Earl Kimmery got his hands on chloroform, but he did describe the term chloroform toxicity like this. It's a chemical used to disable someone, and in some cases, it can lead to death. Now we know from the autopsy results, it's what was used to kill Mariah Woods.
If you're a human being, you have to be affected by it.
As the investigation continues, many of you are asking what's next for Mariah's mother, Christy Woods.
She has been cooperative.
As far as more arrests go, Sheriff Miller stresses investigators need more than speculation. They need probable cause.
At this point, we do not have any additional evidence that would lead to another arrest. That does not mean that this investigation is closed. That means that we're just not there to make another arrest at this point.
Well, Sheriff Miller says this investigation continues to move forward, and meanwhile, Kimmery remains behind bars waiting for his next court date set for February 14th. Reporting in Onslow County, Merrilee Moore for News Channel 12.
It came out that the colonel exhibited red flag behaviors prior to what was done to our daughter, and they were sexual in nature.
Red flags in Colonel Daniel Wilson's career, which Adrian Perry says some military leaders swept under the rug. One major focal point of Wilson's court-martial trial was a stint in Australia and allegations of shocking behavior.
Within a matter of days of him arriving in Australia, that he had done some inappropriate things.
For which he wasn't punished.
I believe that his behavior in Australia would have been a career ender for him had they handled it accordingly.
Instead, Wilson became the operations officer for the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force at Camp Lejeune.
I mean, that was like it was like giving him a promotion.
Wilson became close to the Perry family when the Perrys moved here to Camp Lejeune in June 2017. Within weeks, Perry's daughter told her parents that Wilson sexually abused her.
It was something that could have been prevented, and it was not.
Wilson's behavior in Australia, not brought up until his court-martial related to Perry's daughter, now leaves her mother wondering if her daughter would have been spared if only Wilson was held accountable earlier.
It's important to me that commanders and people in leadership positions are taking red flags seriously when they're reported, and they're acting accordingly.
That's why she took her case public, an emotional testimony before a Senate Armed Forces subcommittee, laying out a long list of things the military should address to better protect children like hers.
I am working with an attorney and a couple other survivors of sexual assault and even domestic abuse.
Calling for changes, including better trained investigators and lawyers.
If a victim of sexual abuse is not afforded a solid and thorough investigation, they're being set up for failure when it comes to game day in the trial.
Perry also wants to address mental health care for victims and restitution.
We're hoping to present this list of change to as many senators as possible so that it can be presented in hopes of, some of them being put into action, if not all of them.
As she forges ahead, taking on legislation and daunting institutions, Perry's daughters are ever present in her mind.
My hope for the future is just that my girls are happy and strong and confident and little lights in this world.
There's strength in numbers. The more people who raise their voices against something, the more likely those voices will be heard. If you'd like to stand by Adrienne Perry in her fight for change and how sex assault cases in the military are handled, investigated, and tried, Perry encourages you to reach out to your state senators and let your voice be heard. Reporting at Camp Lejeune, I'm Merrilee Moore for News Channel 12.